A new graphic and hard-to-watch ad campaign has a clear and targeted message.
When you have a hole in your neck, don't face the shower head.
Suction out your tube before you eat.
Crouch. Don't bend over. You don't want to lose the food in your stomach.
The Centers for Disease Control launched this advertising campaign 3 years ago. How effective is it? We're joined by Dr. Tim McAfee, the director of the CDC's Office on Smoking and Health. And doctor, I have to tell you, if you are not moved by these commercials, then I don't know what to say. I mean, I'm not a smoker and I am just so moved.
Well, thank you very much. It's been a very incredible experience developing this campaign, and particularly getting to know the people that stepped forward to take part in it, the smokers that had suffered so dramatically from the diseases caused by smoking, yet were able to tell their stories so effectively.
Doctor, what made you come up with, or the CDC come up with, this style of campaign? I'm assuming this is a bit of a different approach than you would normally take to get the word out about some sort of a disease.
Well, there were a couple of things that led us in this direction. The first was those of us who've worked with patients who smoke, like myself, who comes from a background as a practicing primary care physician. One of the things that has always been frustrating is that we see in our lives, in our practice, the effects of smoking. So they're very, very real to us. But for many smokers, these are statistics that, you know, I'm going to die a little earlier, or I might develop this or that disease. But especially for people in their 20s and 30s and 40s, these things are not real enough to make them feel like they're actionable. So one of the things that we felt was, can we pull the curtain back to the experience that doctors have in the exam room, talking to real people about what it's like to have these fairly horrible conditions that smoking causes in very, very high numbers. So that was the first thing. The second thing was experience. And that is that, in fact, there have been a large number of campaigns that have been done around the world and also in a number of our states. And these had been examined in some detail. And what they had showed was that hard-hitting, graphic, especially stories that evoked emotions in people, seemed to be the most effective at encouraging people and helping them quit. So what then we did is we came up with some ideas, and we literally interviewed thousands and thousands of smokers and a few thousand non-smokers, and we tried out a half a dozen different ideas. And this idea of real smokers telling real stories about what had happened to them around the suffering caused by smoking was the theme that emerged as the most powerful.
And doctor, when we talk about some of the diseases that ravage people who have been smokers for quite some time, can you talk about some of those diseases, please?
Well, one of the things that we found is that although people are generally familiar with the idea that lung cancer is caused by smoking, and they're familiar with the idea that the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or chronic bronchitis and emphysema are caused by smoking, they don't know about all the other cancers. There's 14 cancers that have been linked now to smoking, and many, many other diseases that even in the last couple of years, we just came out with the 50th anniversary Surgeon General report a few months ago. And in that report, 50 years after the first one, we have new conditions linked to smoking: liver cancer, colorectal cancer, and even diabetes has now been linked for the first time as being one of the things that causes it is smoking.
Wow. You know, when I look at, you guys started the campaign in 2012, and I did it go so well that you decided, let's do this in 2013 and 2014 as well. And if you have not seen these ads, they are so difficult to watch. It's one of those things where it's so hard to watch, but you want to watch it anyway.
Yes, and we have found that they are effective. After the first campaign, we did a very thorough, one of the most thorough evaluations that's ever been done on a big campaign like this. And we were really knocked our socks off around the kind of effects. We had 1.5 million people who made a quit attempt because they saw these ads, which far exceeded our expectations. And so and the other thing that we found is that because we're only able to run the ads about 3 to 4 months out of the year, and the total cost of the ad buy is about the same as 3 days of what the tobacco companies spend marketing cigarettes. So we felt, we were worried initially that maybe this was going to wear out, but what we found is that we're only kind of scratching the surface of the potential for them. Plus, we've gone to a lot of detail about new conditions that people are much less familiar with. This campaign, for instance, features what's called periodontitis or gum disease and how it leads to tooth loss, and it's also dealt with premature birth and the anguish that this can cause a mother. So these new themes and conditions that people are less familiar with have helped to keep the campaign alive for viewers.
Well, and I think we should also point out that about 6 million non-smokers actually have seen the campaign, and I have a smoker that I'm dealing with in my life as well, and it really has allowed us to have a basis to sit down and talk with someone to say, this could be you and I don't want it to be you. Dr. Tim McAfee, the director of the CDC's Office on Smoking and Health, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Keep the campaign going, sir.
Well, thank you for your support and good luck working with your loved one to quit. I would just also mention each ad ends with a positive, upbeat note of "you can quit," and gives the resources of either 1-800-QUIT-NOW where people can get free help, or our website cdc.gov/tips where people can learn more about the life experiences of those who took part in the ads and get help.
Excellent. Dr. Tim McAfee, thank you so much for joining us here on DC
Breakdown.
Thank you very much.